Hi, my name is Koyantek, and welcome to my tour of metal genres around the world. Before we get started, I want to note that I have a song from each artist featured. I want to make note that not all of these songs will start from the beginning. I start them at the position where I feel you can get a good assessment of their respective genre. First up is Germany with the German thrash metal band Kreator. The song I chose is Under the Guillotine. Let's have a listen. Under the Guillotine is off Kreator's second album, Pleasure to Kill. Pleasure to Kill was released on November 1st, 1986 in Berlin, Germany, and it is recognized by many as a thrash classic that pioneered the thrash metal scene overseas. Jean-Peter 2019 states that Germany is one of the oldest and largest metal nations in the world. Kreator was also known as a Teutonic metal band, which was a genre coined to describe metal bands that don't quite fit into thrash metal, nor the death metal category. Teutonic metal emerged in Germany in the 1980s and 1990s, the same time Kreator emerged. Next up, we have the Brazilian thrash metal band Sepultura. The song I chose is Arise. Let's have a listen. Arise is the first song off Sepultura's album of the same name. Arise was the album that marked Sepultura's transition from death metal into thrash metal, and it was released on March 25th, 1991. Arise is recognized by many as one of the greatest thrash metal albums of all time. One thing I love about Sepultura is the way they incorporate many aspects of Brazilian culture in their music. According to Garcia and Gama 2021, Sepultura is highly regarded as part of the quote-unquote Big Five of thrash metal, and they used their influence to pave the way for other Brazilian bands, like Arandu Aracua. Sepultura influenced Arandu Aracua to explore the possibilities of transculturation by implementing Brazilian culture and themes in their music. The sixth song on the album Arise, titled Altered State, begins with an ominous Brazilian drum beat that sounds almost tribe-like. The beat pays homage to Sepultura's Brazilian roots while serving as a transition into a different theme for the album. It can be inferred through the title and almost ritualistic sounding introduction that the album has taken an altered state. I find it fascinating that Sepultura is able to incorporate Brazilian language, themes, and music into their own, while still remaining one of the highest critically acclaimed thrash metal bands. Next, we have the Swedish death metal band, Amon Amarth. The song I chose is Twilight of the Thunder God. Let's have a listen to this one. Twilight of the Thunder God is featured on the album of the same name, which was released on September 17, 2008. and it is recognized by many as Amon Amarth's best album. The 2008 album is my personal favorite of theirs, and it reached number 11 on the Swedish album charts. The album contains many Nordic and Viking related themes and helped bring Swedish death metal worldwide popularity. One thing that I absolutely love about Amon Amarth is that many other songs feature these Swedish themes, like Vikings and Norse mythology. I've always been fascinated by Vikings, and I just absolutely love that a band is making songs about them and achieving worldwide fame. Amon Amarth has had a very large impact on the Swedish death metal scene. And Sweden is already one of the world's largest pioneers of death metal. Heesh 2010 states that in the 1990s, the heavy metal scene began to show an increasing interest in Nordic topics. Odin is the Norse god of thunder, or in other words, the thunder god, hence the song Twilight of the Thunder God. Amon Amarth is recognized as a quote-unquote Viking metal band. According to Heesh 2010, Amon Amarth ranks as one of the most successful metal bands in the world. Next on our list, we have the band Iron Maiden from England. The song I chose is my personal favorite, Hallowed Be Thy Name. Let's have a listen. Hallowed Be Thy Name is a song featured on Iron Maiden's album, The Number of the Beast. It is my personal favorite Iron Maiden album, and it was the first album of theirs that featured their new lead singer, Bruce Dickinson, after the previous vocalist, Paul Di'Anno, parted ways with the band. The Number of the Beast was released on March 22nd, 1982, and it is regarded by many as their best album. Weinstein, 2009, claims that British heavy metal became so popular around the world because it did not have any British features. If you didn't already know that a band was British, you might have never found out, and that is what people loved about it. It might not sound like it carries much cultural significance at first, but it did quite the opposite. Iron Maiden was one of the most influential bands in British heavy metal, bringing the scene new highs in popularity back in 1980. Iron Maiden brought many fans to visit England and to hear them play, which made England increase in popularity and earned the country more money through tourists making purchases at taverns and other stores. Bruce Dickinson is an ex-pilot for the Royal Air Force, and he has written a few songs telling about his experience, like Aces High, as an example. Iron Maiden paved the way for future British heavy metal, and brought England a newfound and lasting popularity to a level that it may not have ever reached if it weren't for such a worldwide recognized talent like Iron Maiden. To summarize, we first start with Kreator. As I mentioned at the beginning, Kreator was classified as a Teutonic metal band, which was the bridge point between thrash metal and death metal. It sort of blurred the lines between the two vastly different but very similar sounding music genres. Kreator was one of the biggest thrash metal bands in Germany, and all of Europe for that matter. And Kreator helped bring the thrash metal scene newfound highs and popularity. This spread to other parts of the world, like in Brazil, where we got to experience Sepultura. Sepultura originally started as a death metal band, which is all thanks to that Teutonic metal sound, and the Teutonic metal then developed into what is known as death metal. Sepultura then made their transition to thrash metal and began to influence many other Brazilian bands to begin to create music
whether it was thrash metal, death metal, or just music in general that is incorporating their Brazilian roots into their music. Amon Amarth is a Swedish death metal band, and as I mentioned, bands like Creator helped pioneer the death metal scene through that Teutonic sound. The Swedish death metal scene was already so large as is, and this is all thanks to many bands that helped pioneer the death metal scene. Sweden is regarded by many as the home of death metal, and Amon Amarth is one band that was able to grow big and achieve worldwide fame. Through their use of Norse mythology and various Swedish themes, Amon Amarth is able to spread their culture around the world by making music that everyone can enjoy. While being a very different genre from all the rest, being a heavy metal band instead of a thrash or death metal band, or even a band that experimented with that Teutonic sound, Iron Maiden, the British heavy metal band, was a major influence for many bands around the world, including bands like Creator. While it appears that Creator had some sort of influence on forming bands like Sepultura and Amon Amarth, Iron Maiden was the band that somewhat influenced Creator to be formed. British heavy metal was a much more heavier sound than traditional music already had. Before Iron Maiden existed, the Beatles were considered one of the heaviest sounds that people had ever heard. And it's ironic that heavy metal is one of the lightest and least heaviest genres of metal. However, it was called heavy metal because it was a much heavier sound than anybody was used to hearing. Albeit, now it is considered not heavy at all. Iron Maiden was able to bring worldwide fame to the heavy metal scene and is enjoyed by many fans all around the world, and was able to inspire countless other bands who then gone to inspire other bands, inspiring generations of young musicians to create music of their own.